welcome dear friends and fellow seekers around the world who are connected with us here on this special live stream event, live from Cabella Ligure in Italy, which is the home of Her Holiness Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi, and is now an open center for the world to come and enjoy and learn about her living legacy to humanity, which is the experience of Sahaja Yoga meditation. We'll find out all about that today from the people who knew her and followed her around the world while she ceaselessly traveled to share and awaken the innate energy which is in every human being to reach their full potential and recognize and experience the connection that we all have with the whole. Shri Mataji was born on the 21st of March 1923 in Chhindwara in India, and she was born into a family that had a great tradition of spirituality, culture, but also a great commitment to truth and to justice, which is why in the early part of her life she was very much involved together with her fellow citizens in the movement for the liberation of India from colonial rule. Now that impetus, energy and drive then was invested into her life's work, where she was able to focus on the freeing or the freedom of humanity from every form of limitation and suffering, and not only by providing relief, counsel, comfort, but being able to awaken the innate power that each one of us has to achieve a connection with our true self and with the all-pervading power that surrounds us. Now, the way to obtain this experience is through self-realization, and self-realization then has an impact on all the people around us, our communities, and she maintained that the world could only change if we changed from the inside. Now, before we go any further and talk about this unique aspect of her life, let us now go to to Nirmal Dham in Delhi, where we will talk to Sandeep Gadkari, who was a child when he began Sahaja Yoga, but now he is surrounded by thousands of Sahaja Yogis who are celebrating this special moment together with him in Delhi. Sandeep.
Jai Shri Mataji. From the holy land of India, and particularly Nirmal Dham, which is the Mahasamadhi place of our most beloved Shri Mataji, we are very honored and privileged to be here today to celebrate her 100th birth anniversary. Shri Mataji, from her very childhood, proved to be the great daughter of India. She was part of the Gandhian movement of Satyagraha for the independence of India. Soon, she came to be known as the Great Mother, the Grande Madre, fondly called as Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi. Such recognition is not only due to the fact that Sahaja Yoga is actively practiced in as many as 95 nations, but especially because it goes across all the differentiation of regions, caste, religions, creed, age, and ethnicity. She was indeed able to create a unified and an integrated vision for the world. Here in her motherland, she is recognized and adored as the Divine Mother, who is the embodiment of the omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient power of God, power of pure and infinite love. Shri Mataji blessed us with the Sahaja Yoga movement, which she found in the year 1970, which is indeed a very unique discovery. She has given en masse realization to hundreds and thousands of people, helping them to achieve yoga, which is the union of the limited with the unlimited. In past, the yoga was available to a select few. One had to renunciate the family life, the social life, go into Himalayas to reach a higher state of spiritual awareness. In meta-modern era instead, Shri Mataji made it very unique, very simple, facilitating Sahaja Yoga by living a normal life with a physical experience of the cool breeze on the hands and on top of our heads. How her unique discovery has helped individuals or the society. To the individual, it gives a balance, be it emotional, intellectual, physical. Really, we become global personalities. We receive enlightenment, we receive Atma Sakshatkar, we receive our self-realization, which was very much promised by holy saints and prophets of the past. Today, Sahaja Yoga is the only spontaneous way of living, a meditation where you become the integral part of the whole. It is an opportunity of true salvation. It is perhaps not a coincidence that Shri Mataji's maiden name was Nirmala Salve, who since childhood spent a lot of time understanding the human nature and what was the best way to help humanity. With the happening of the 5th May 1970, of the opening of the 7th center in our Fontenelle-Beaune area, the individual really becomes complete and self-realized. This then helps to build strong, stable families, society that then beautifully blossom as one global family. Vasudeva Kutumba, described in our holy Upanishads, that is one family that comes from one divine mother, is really what we pray to see here today and tomorrow. I sincerely feel in my heart, Shri Mataji is very joyous today to see how Sahaja Yoga has reached the four corners of the world and helped countless human beings to become evolved spiritual beings and saints. It is up to us now to share this experience of Sahaja Yoga to as many as we can, grow deeper, becoming profound and enlightened individuals and become one global family, enjoying the one present and the sustained future for our next generations. To commemorate this occasion, we are launching the Hindi version of srimataji.org website. We are also launching 48 volumes of Shri Mataji's 3,500 speeches that she gave in different places, in different languages, that we'll like to hold in different Sahaj libraries across the globe. We'll also be celebrating many Sahaja Yoga programs and events across the globe. My heartful gratitude to dearest Shri Mataji for the great good she has done to us all in Sahaja Yoga and to humanity, for being our Divine Mother and our Holy Guru. Jai Shri Mataji.
As Sandeep was saying, Shri Mataji not only spoke and gave lectures around the world, but she actually awakened the spiritual energy within us to actually enable us to experience self-realization. And so we're going to move on to, in a moment, to see the instrument that we have within us, which is just waiting to be awakened by the ascent of the Kundalini energy from the base of our spine. A series of, by now we know, we've heard about them, chakras, or wheels of energy corresponding to the nervous system, the central nervous system within us, and it's actually a tangible experience that we can all feel, and as he said, begins at the base of the spine. Many of us had the good fortune to experience this in her presence. It is an experience that can be shared by everyone who receives it. And now we are going to show you a video of one of those historic public programs that she gave, in which she bestowed and awakened this energy within all of us of self-realization.
Now, what you have to do, it's all right, I'll manage. You have to put both your hands towards me like this, just like this, simple. Just like this. Now, firstly, I have to tell you that you should not feel guilty. That's also another fashion in the West, to feel guilty. If you have done anything wrong, it's finished and gone, the past. I am talking of the present. So, whatever you have done wrong according to you, you need not correct it by torturing yourself. So please don't feel guilty at all, because if you feel guilty, this center catches and creates a problem for the Kundalini twice. So please don't feel guilty at all. I mean, if you are guilty, you would have been in jail, not here. So have a very pleasant attitude towards yourself, very happy attitude towards yourself. So please don't feel guilty for anything. Then second thing, very important, is for this center is here, to forgive everyone. Now, one may say, very difficult, Mother, to forgive everyone. How can you forgive? I'll give you the logic behind it. If you forgive or don't forgive, what do? Do nothing, just the same. But if you don't forgive, then you torture yourself for nothing at all. That is why you must forgive. Just to say, Mother, I forgive everyone is sufficient. Just say that. In your heart you say, I forgive everyone, forget it. That will help very much. These two centers are literally constricted, and that's why we have to be careful that we do not constrict it more. So you forgive everyone and you forgive yourself. Very simple. Now your hands are like these. Now please put your right hand towards me and left hand on top of your fontanelle bone and see for yourself if there's a cool or a hot breeze is coming out of your head. Just imagine, in such a short time it has worked out. So see for yourself if there's a cool or a hot breeze coming out of your fontanelle bone area, which was the soft bone in your child. Please try with the left hand. Put the right hand towards me. You can move your hand up and down on the sides. And do not say it is there if it is not there, please. We have not to cheat ourselves, but we have to be honest. Now, please bend your head and see. You bend your head and see yourself if there's a cool or a hot breeze coming out of your fontanelle bone area. Now, put your left hand towards me like this. And with the right hand, you see now, if there's a cool or a hot breeze coming out of your fontanelle bone area. It is hot because you have not yet forgiven. You have to forgive yourself and you have to forgive others. Because of that, it is still hot. Bend your head and see for yourself. You can move your hand up and down and see for yourself. This is a hot or a cold breeze coming out of your fontanelle bone area. Now, please put your right hand also. Again, and with the left hand, you see if there's a cold or hot breeze coming out of your fontanelle bone area. Just see once. Now, please put both your hands towards me. Just like this. Because I told you the sympathetic is here. It has to work through sympathetic. Both the hands towards me like that. Now just see, please see that there's a cool or a hot breeze coming on your palm or maybe through your fingers. Just see. Now you don't think. You watch me and don't think. Just don't think. All those who have felt cool or hot breeze on their fingertips or on the palm or out of the fontanelle bone area. Please raise both your hands. That's it. May God bless you all. May God bless you. It's great. Some people didn't feel, very few, all right? But we'll see what's the matter, why they didn't feel. They will. No doubt, every one of you should get it. Very few didn't feel it. I'm very much thankful to you. I look forward to Berkeley people to work it out. Because you have a special position as seekers here, and it should help the whole world. So may God bless you.
We are so grateful to be able to be here today to express our gratitude for this indescribable gift. Well, it has been described by some as a second birth, a rebirth. Speaking of which, we will now go to the place of birth, to the birthplace of Shri Mataji, Nirmala Devi, in Chhindwara, India, where we will hear from Avdut Pai, one of her early followers. In fact, he was a child when he first met Shri Mataji.
From Chhindwara, where Shri Mataji was born on the 21st of March 1923 at noon. Shri Mataji came from a very noble family and she had a very noble heritage, the heritage of the Shalivanas. Chhindwara was the capital of the Shalivanas and her ancestors started the Shalivana dynasty. In April 1947, Shri Mataji married to Mr. Chandrika Prasad Srivastav, who was later knighted by Queen Elizabeth II, and thus he got the honor of Sir C.P. Srivastava. She was very loving, very affectionate, and a mother for all of us in the whole of humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avadut. It's worth noting that that sort of background noise is a sign of just how much activity there is there at the moment. Literally thousands of people are coming to pay tribute to Shri Mataji at her birthplace and in many, many other parts of the world, because Shri Mataji's vision was to unite the world. And the unity could be realized when we actually can feel and experience the unity, the connection, the spiritual connection that exists amongst all of us. And this spiritual connection is something which is fundamentally part of deep spirituality, the knowledge of yoga, union of the individual spirit with the divine. And all of this great search drove one of the earliest followers of Shri Mataji, Mr. Nalgirkar, who we will now join where he is in India now. Mr. Nalgirkar.
Yeah, good afternoon. First, I will introduce myself. I am Vijay Nalgirkar. Right now, I am in Navi Mumbai, India, speaking from that place. By profession, I am engineer, worked in many EPC oil and gas companies, and I got my Sahaja Yoga in 1984, by now 39 years, and I have worked in Sahaja Yoga as a state leader of Delhi, national leader of India, world leader, board member of World Foundation, and Nirmala Intellectual Property Corporation. Now, about the background, I am born in traditional Hindu family. But my father was a very typical Gandhian, so we were not forced to go to any temple or to any guru. So we have no such experience of guru or any religion, and nor we were believing in a religion. But we were seeker inside. In Delhi, in a public program in 1984, Shri Mataji was giving speech and realization. I attended that program. For the first time, I was convinced and impressed so much and felt the cool breeze. So automatically some respect for Shri Mataji and deep faith developed inside with a peace and joy. And over and above that, in the first public program in Delhi, where the local language is Hindi and English, Shri Mataji saw me from a distance of maybe in the crowd, and she just called me and directly asked me in Marathi, "Did you feel cool breeze?" I was surprised because I had never seen Shri Mataji, never met Shri Mataji, doesn't know suddenly how she spoke in Marathi. So that further developed more faith that she's definitely a very high divine personality, divine guru. And now we will see how Shri Mataji started Sahaja Yoga in 5th May 1970, and what is the birthplace of Sahaja Yoga. We will see the video.
After her nation's freedom and settling her family, Shri Mataji devoted herself to the spiritual work of enlightening the human beings of the world for higher consciousness and transforming them. In the evening of 4th May 1970, Her Holiness Shri Mataji sat in meditation under a tree of Bilwa at the place of Nargol, the seashore of Gujarat, near from Mumbai, and after sitting whole night in meditation. In the early dawn of 5th May 1970, at the nick of the doomsday, she opened the Sahasrara of the primordial being, that is Virat, a very great historic event for the entire human race. This not only saved the world but facilitated for the en masse spiritual awakening of the human beings. Shri Mataji gave self-realization to thousands en masse, unlike other guru who gave self-realization to one seeker only. Other notable uniqueness of Sahaja Yoga is that self-realized people can give further self-realization to others en masse. This spiritual technique founded by her is called Sahaja Yoga. Nargol can be called as birthplace of Sahaja Yoga. Please see the settled body of human being shown. The topmost center chakra is called Sahasrar, as it has 1,000 petals, nerves. In medical science, it is called fontanel bone or limbic area. After opening this topmost chakra center, one gets spiritual yoga, that is the union with the Brahma Chaitanya, all pervading power of God's love. This chakra can be opened only by Her Holiness Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi. You can also see in the chart at the bottom of the spinal cord a triangular bone called sacrum bone, inside which resides the divine cosmic power energy called Kundalini, which is in dormant state. It can be awakened only by Shri Mataji, who is very high level divine guru. After awakening, the Kundalini travels upward and comes out of Sahasrar, topmost chakra center. This yoga is possible for every human being, irrespective of religion, race, color, gender, age, region, etc. Shri Mataji started the work of Sahaja Yoga first in Mumbai, from the place where she was residing at Jeevan Jyot building at Nepean Road with her husband, who was chairman of Shipping Corporation of India at that time. She worked on one person, then a batch of 12 persons for a few months, and could give spiritual awakening to all of them with the feeling of cool breeze called Brahma Chaitanya or Ruh. She used to conduct regular programs in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Chowpatty, and Kowasji Jahangir Hall, Kulaba in Mumbai. Many seekers got self-realization in Mumbai. After Mumbai, her spiritual journey started in the rural places, villages in Maharashtra and other cities in India, and later abroad. She traveled most parts of India and countries of the world. As on date, now she has millions of followers around the globe, enjoying the spiritual benefits and leading peaceful, joyous, honest life as a good citizen of the world, and working for the propagation of Sahaja Yoga for the well-being of the humanity, following the path enlightened by Shri Mataji. From Sahaja Yoga, one gets spiritual awakening called self-realization, free of charges, also called second birth or yoga as advised in all the religions. The real spiritual journey of a person starts after self-realization. If practiced sincerely and honestly, one becomes free from all physical, mental problems, feels peaceful and joyous inside, enjoying the human life with the blessings, and continue spiritual ascent to any level. Not only we, all her children, followers, but the entire human race are very much thankful and feel grateful to her for such great blessings. Sahaja Yoga is a living force, and it is a breakthrough of human evolution. Sahaja Yoga is not theory to read and listen, but practical actualization in our inner being. This helps in transformation of all human beings across the world and gets salvation. Her divine work in this period of time has been forecasted by great saints and rishis of all the religions. Sahaja Yoga will bring peace, harmony, collectivity, love among the entire human race of the planet. Jai Shri Mataji.
We have learnt about the historic moment on the 5th of May, 1970, when this topmost chakra was opened, creating a gateway for the possibility for every human being to connect themselves with this all-pervading power, this energy that we can feel so tangibly in our hands. And in that early period of the 70s, when Shri Mataji was really developing the whole process, the inner process and all its intricacies and permutations on her early followers, she then turned her attention to the whole world. And as a mother, she had to reach their heart. And it is actually also, it will not escape us, the historical significance that her first journey to the West to do this was England, the United Kingdom, where she spent many, many years with the yogis there. And we have with us today, we have Zafar Rashid, who will tell us more.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. My background is from an Islamic culture. And I was born in Pakistan. I'm a doctor by profession, but I've lived much of my life in the UK. And I met Shri Mataji at Shuri camps, which was her residence in Cambridgeshire back in 1988. I had no preconceived ideas of who she was. All I knew was that she was a teacher of meditation. And that first meeting was truly transformative and shaped the rest of my life. I mean, some of the impressions that I had from that very first meeting with Shri Mataji were that she was a personality of great stature, of gravitas, of wisdom, motherly love, a purity and innocence, and really, I would say, one felt as if one was in the presence of holiness. So very, very saintly. Now, we've heard about how Sahaja Yoga, from its inception in India, then moved to the UK, and Shri Mataji traveled to the UK. She arrived in the British Isles on New Year's Eve 1973. And this was because her husband, Sir CP, had got a new job as the head of the United Nations International Maritime Organization, which was based in London. And in England, Shri Mataji worked for the first 3 to 4 years in a very personal, very intimate manner with just a handful of seekers, of devotees who were looking for their awakening. And she was able to spend a lot of time with them and help them on an almost daily basis at times through many of the difficulties those early seekers faced, the human challenges, the human condition. And she helped them get through that phase. And Sahaja Yoga sort of encompasses not just the very basics of life, but also contains the great eternal truths which many of us have been seeking. Then in 1977, for a period of about 6 years, Shri Mataji went more public and was holding meetings at Caxton Hall, which is in central London, and made around 100 appearances, gave 100 programs at Caxton Hall during that phase. And again, she was able to give a lot of time and a lot of attention to each person who wanted her time, either with questions or personal issues, or on how to achieve that in a transformation. So that was the beginnings of Sahaja Yoga going more public, and for Shri Mataji to refine some of the techniques to establish really fully the foundations of Sahaja Yoga in the Western world. And Britain or England was the focus of that. She told us that each country has a particular quality, and the quality of England or the British Isles was the heart, and hence the qualities of compassion and love and openness and generosity and especially joy. And also, just as in the human body, how the blood circulates through the whole body via the heart pumps it. In the same way, one of the purposes or qualities of England or the British Isles was to send this message of spirituality or a new awakening to the whole world. So essentially, globally. And that's what she managed to achieve, because England became the home, the place from where then she traveled to many other countries, to Europe, to America, to Australia, and then further afield, and we'll hear about that later. So from the 1970s into the 80s, and then when we go into the 90s, and there was a new era of a decade or so when we had annual programs, annual Sahaja public programs at the Royal Albert Hall, which were attended by usually several thousand people, around 4,000 people or so. And this was the great period of en masse realization, a demonstration of how thousands, tens of thousands, possibly in the future, millions of people could get their self-realization simultaneously as the collective consciousness deepens and grows and is purified. The effect of realization is much stronger. And then Shri Mataji moved to Italy, still retaining a residence in Ealing. But even though she was in Italy, she did return many times to Britain. The last time we had the great privilege and blessing of having Shri Mataji in the UK was in 2006, when she had receded a little bit from public life, and she was in her 80s then, so quite elderly also. But it was 2006 was a glorious year for the United Kingdom, from really April right through till October, when we had the blessing of Shri Mataji being present here. There'll be many things mentioned about Shri Mataji by different speakers. I just want to comment on a couple of things. One was that she did not want a culture of dependency. She always said that we have to become our own gurus, our own masters, our own teachers. And yes, guidance is required, support is required, and motherly love is required, but we need to find our own way. The other aspect was, to her, love was not just an emotion, a feeling, but a force which could change the whole world, the whole globe, the whole of humanity. And the reason for creation, she said, was this power of love, because it is actually a power and a force. And just in the last few seconds, I want to mention her unique sense of humor. Perhaps other people haven't mentioned it, but she made us feel very, very comfortable in her presence. And on this very special day, eternally grateful to her for all that she gave to me, which time doesn't allow to go into. So thank you. Thank you for listening and watching.
It was incredible how much you were able to convey to us in some brief moments. And I just want to take the opportunity to tell everybody that there is this very beautiful website called shrimataji.org, in which you can find so much about her, and also how you can connect to all the yogis, the practitioners of Sahaja Yoga in your region of the world or in your town and city. So please go over to srimataji.org at any time to find out more. And now, the next part of the journey takes us to Australia, a huge country that Shri Mataji visited several times. And we have two Sahaja Yogis online with us now, Mark Williams and Robert Henshaw, who will tell us a bit more about how they came to meet her and the beginning of Sahaja Yoga in Australia.
Thanks for your time, Victor. Rob Henshaw here. I became aware of Shri presence in Australia in 1983 and had the great privilege of meeting her at a public program in Sydney at that time, and was absolutely overwhelmed with her magnetic quality and her attention to such spiritual matters, and giving the audience some amazing experience, which was very unique in my experience and that in the audience, where we actually felt this actualized awakening within us, and it was a very, very strong experience for myself personally, which really attracted me to follow up and become one of Shri Mataji's great followers in Australia. So in the early 80s, she came to Australia in 1981 in the beginning, and travelled to several cities, including Sydney and Melbourne, and some of the other cities. And also later on, she spent quite a deal of time in Australia, sort of travelling around each time. So between 1981 and 1983, the amount of people actually doubled each time, and again in 1985, and so on. And so it really started with just a few people right at the beginning, to somewhere where we have thousands of followers in Australia who actually give the same gift to other people in our local programs in a free manner, in a free, open society, to improve the individual. But through that improvement of the individual, this transformative effect about the people around them, in their families and their friends and so forth. And one of the things which has been spoken about tonight in detail is that awakening of that Kundalini energy, which has that transformative power. One of the things she taught us actually was about the unique place that Australia has in the subtle system, which is about the first chakra, which was about the innocence and that experience and that awakening of that sort of quality. And you see that in Australians, that they're fairly straightforward people, and that's, I guess, one of the interesting things about Australians coming to Sahaja Yoga, is that they felt the Shri Mataji's warmth and of character and her innocence in herself, and how she just interacted with people in a very natural and self-effacing way, which was very attractive to the people in Australia. And I feel that that's one of the big things which led to the growth of so many people who follow not only her teachings, but also are able to teach many other people. So just in a nutshell, it's one of those beautiful things that's happened. It's continuing to happen, and her legacy lives on very well, both in Australia and around the world. So thanks for the opportunity to pay our respects to our Divine Mother, Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi. I'll hand over to Mark.
As a young guy with hundreds of other young men and women who were starting to practice Saj Yoga in those days, it was that practicality of the whole thing that was very engaging for us. So it wasn't a message, or it wasn't just a book or anything. It was the real thing. And subsequent to that, I found that I was able to correct myself and transform myself, and I became a very different person from what I was at the start. And I think that was something that when you see that happening to yourself, it's only then that you realize that there's really something going on with this, that you do feel the sensations on the fingertips, you do feel that mental silence, and the transformative nature of it is really practical. And I think that's the big takeout, that it's not about following a guru or anything like that. It's about transforming yourself through a direct experience of this kind of cosmic energy. You could call it God, you could call it Allah, you could call it Lord Shiva, whichever culture you come from, it's the same thing. And as a young reporter, that's what hit me hardest, was from whichever angle you look at it, from whichever culture and tradition you come from, it's the same thing. And so it has the capability to unify all of us. And so that's when world peace happens, when everyone can come together with the same understanding of things. So Shri Mataji really had a big vision. And I think it's one of those visions that, only now I'm comprehending it, when you see so many people all across the world in a forum like this who are practicing Saj Yoga, who are very just regular garden variety people, just like myself. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. It's a great honor. Anything to do with Shri Mataji, it's a great honor to be involved with that. And I'll hand back to you, Victor. Thank you.
Much to both of you. And we continue to follow Shri Mataji around the world, because she really cared about the whole world, every country, every race, from wherever we came from. Whoever we were, we had to receive this. It's our birthright, she used to say. And we go now to the United States, to USA, where Dave Dunphy will tell us more about Sahaja Yoga in the United States.
America was the first country in the West that Shri Mataji traveled to via Japan in 1972, and she made the long journey on a cargo ship in very Spartan conditions for 1.5 months to arrive on our shores. This marked the beginning of a 4 decades-long odyssey to bring her message of Sahaja Yoga and the experience of self-realization to Americans. The important question to answer, though, is why America, and why at this particular time? It is perhaps instructive to understand the context of this period of our history to see why Shri Mataji chose to travel to the United States at that juncture in time. We were in the throes of winding down an unpopular, decades-long war in Vietnam, and had been through the momentous changes brought on by the civil rights movement. America was also very enamored with the many Indian gurus descending upon this country, despite their efforts to market spirituality and turn it into a commercial enterprise, a practice which concerned Shri Mataji greatly, and she spoke out openly against. Americans were actively re-examining their beliefs and their role in the world in an era of questioning, and were beginning to seek things of a more spiritual nature. She said, and I quote, "There are seekers of money, seekers after power, seekers of gratification, and then there are people who have done all those things and are now seeking the truth, seeking their spirit, seeking God. There are many, many seekers of truth in America. Great, great seekers. Oh, so great. I want to meet them, show them how they can get what they have been looking for probably ages. lifetimes even, their self-realization. Perhaps the deeper reason for her consistent focus on this country could be discovered in Shri Mataji's revelation that America represents the Vishuddhi chakra in the subtle system of the universe, and that as such, it stands for diplomacy, sweetness, self-esteem, communication, and collectivity, like Abraham Lincoln, whom she said stood for collectivity. She felt that if America began to introspect and move away from its materialistic focus through the experience of self-realization, then this change would spread to the rest of the world, and in fact, that America was the key to the gateway for the dawning of collective consciousness on Earth. A manifestation where every person has awakened their subtle connection to the divine power and each other, and are able to feel the energy of others within themselves. To this end of establishing Sahaja Yoga in the Americas, Shri Mataji engaged in extensive tours across North and South America every year, giving thousands the experience of self-realization in many cities on both continents for several decades, in literally hundreds of public programs, often lasting late into the night. She worked physically on many of the seekers until they could touch the state of thoughtless awareness and verify the existence of the subtle system within themselves. Shri Mataji felt that her work here was so important for the establishment of the spiritual foundation of America that she set up residences on each coast to act as bases for the effort, and spent several months a year living here to realize her vision. She established ashrams and meditation centers in many cities across the U.S., a school, a 110-acre spiritual retreat in upstate New York, as well as the formation of a registered nonprofit organization called Vishwa Nirmala Dharma, whose recognition in the United States was seminal in getting similar nonprofits established in multiple countries worldwide. Because of her ceaseless efforts, Sahaja Yoga has been established in most major cities in the US and Canada, and thousands are currently enjoying more balanced and peaceful lives. Her life of service to humanity, both in the Americas and the world, is unparalleled, and for this we owe to her a debt of supreme gratitude on the occasion of the centennial celebrations of her birth.
And so, yes, after that beautiful musical interlude, which shows just how global Sahaja Yoga is and just how many different nations Shri Mataji visited and traditions that are embraced in this beautiful world family, we are now going to take another long trip over to Asia, where Shri Mataji, she visited Malaysia, Taiwan, China, and that area of the world. And Alex, who was based in Hong Kong for a number of years, will now tell us all about those moments.
Thank you, Victor. I first got my realization in 1983, actually down in Sydney, Australia. And I was very fortunate to be able to spend quite a bit of time with Shri Mataji over the years. I spent in 1984, she invited me to stay with her in London. So I'd spent considerable time with her there. And when I came back to Australia, there was some touring that she was doing around Asia. And then in 1990, I was fortunate to be able to do all the video production work on the tour in 1990. So basically, she traveled to Australia mostly every 2 years. And then in conjunction with that, in 1990, she went on an Asian tour for the first time, visiting a number of countries. In fact, in 1983, she went to first Hong Kong and Malaysia. They were the two countries that she went to first off. And then later on, she visited other countries like Thailand and Taiwan and also in Japan. She spent quite a bit of time there in each of the countries, usually for a few days, a public program. There was a lot of activities. She'd spend quite a bit of time with the local collectives there to establish them in their self-realization experience. What amazed me about the time that she spent with people, she'd work on people for hours and hours, often to the early hours of the morning, and then she'd be up again very early the next day, and then often traveling to another country. So she spent quite a bit of time, obviously in planes, traveling around. But what amazed me was her incredibly boundless energy. So she was able to maintain this incredible presence and focus in the work that she was doing. She was very compassionate, and she'd give a lot of love and attention to every little detail, every person that was presented before her. She would want to know about what they're doing, about their family, and what are the things which were troubling them. And then she would often spend time working on them vibrationally, helping them to clear the vibrations, to improve their meditation, and giving them advice about what to do for their own spiritual ascent. So this was a very special time. And what was also very important for her was to reach China. And I think in 1990 on this tour, we visited Hong Kong, and she said to me that it would be good if I could come and help to establish Sahaja Yoga in Hong Kong. And she said Hong Kong was a key part, or a key gateway to going into China, or spreading Sahaja Yoga in China. And I think the most important thing about China is obviously the number of the population, and also she said there's a lot of seekers. They're very deep people. When she went to first went to Beijing, she was probably the early 80s. She was traveling with her husband CCP, doing a trip around different parts of China, and she went on this cruise down the Yangtze River, and she was talking about the beauty of the landscape and just how everything was unfolding. She also mentioned that this river was of spiritual significance. And then later on, when she came to present, she was invited at the International Conference of Women, and she was able to present a speech at this conference. And then we were able to organize a public program in the hotel that we were staying in. And we invited the journalists and a lot of people attending the conference. And she reiterated this trip down the Yangtze River and talked about the primordial Kundalini and the ascent that this would provide and how important it was for people to take to a spiritual life. And she talked about the communism and capitalism and said, you know, there's good aspects of both, but in actual fact, if we use our spiritual awareness, we become a better person altogether. So these were the highlights, I would say, going forward over many years. And she established centers in all these different cities around Asia. So I remember once we went to Taiwan, and there was a big public program there, and she was so overjoyed to see so many seekers, and then traveled to Hong Kong, and we were able to get a lot of the local Chinese. We had a radio program, and the hall was full of about 450 Chinese seekers, and she was so overjoyed to say, you know, the first time that she'd seen so many Chinese coming along to a public program. So it was these special moments which were always joyful to spend time and reflect on. And it certainly helped me in my own ascent. And I'm working in the corporate world and able to work more efficiently and effectively. And meditation's become a vital part of my life, and I meditate every day. So this would be a practice that most corporations are now engaging. So I've been conducting corporate meditation programs for my own company and giving these meditation sessions to people, helping them to realize their own spiritual potential, and also helping them to balance and deal with the daily stresses of life, which I think everybody's having a lot of different stresses, emotional things that are coming up, and dealing with what's happening in the world at the moment. I think meditation is probably one of the most important things we can do to maintain a balance and enjoyment in life. So I'd like to thank everybody for the 100th anniversary, and certainly thank Shri Mataji for her incredible contribution to humanity and all her work around emancipating people across Asia and helping people to experience this. And it's really a truly a universal experience. People in all different cultures and walks of life around, you see that across Asia, the experience is the same. It's a universal experience, and it's a very special thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you to all the contributors so far who've just amazed us with giving us different insights into the story, the life story of Shri Mataji, Nirmala Devi, this really remarkable mother, we can call her, spiritual guru, but one who, again, enables us to become our own gurus, our own masters, and to connect with our own true self, which is what connects all of us, really. And during those travels, of course, many of us enjoyed incredible hospitality, and second to none in Turkey, which is actually the next leg of the journey. Shri Mataji visited Turkey several times, and we will now watch a video about that development in Turkey of Sahaja Yoga.
I vow to all the seekers of truth. You also take it out of your head coming out, right?
Perfect cool breeze on their fingertips or on their palm or out of their head. Raise your hands. Oh.
Hintli guru Shri Mataji'nin ne kadar popüler olduğunu anlamak için İstanbul'daki çiçekli ve şarkılı görkemli karşılama törenine bakmak bile yeterli. Hayranları guruyu dizlerinin üstünde selamladılar. Kimi zaman gözyaşlarına boğuldular.
Onun kuramcısı şimdi Türkiye'de konuk ve sadece bizle konuşuyor. Kim o? Shri Mataji.
He is wondering whether if you are coming from the bottom of the Indian Ocean or are you coming from the top of the Himalayas?
What I discovered was the way.
Yaptığım şu, binlerce insanın bir arada kendisini tanımasına yardım ediyorum.
Students, they are my children. There is no relationship as such. I just give them love. That's all. Turkish people are the most capable people. If they take to anything, they do it very well. And I can see that in 3 years' time, this whole of Istanbul is changed. So many new buildings have come up. It's so different that you can't make out it's the same road or the same place you are in. So we have to learn from them. Is to be capable is one thing. They have been promised that they will be resurrected. And that resurrection has to take place. For that I have to venture and give them their resurrection which is promised by Muhammad Sahib. I mean, that's my duty. And not only duty, but I am bound by it, that I have to tell them about their resurrection and to save them. They deserve it, no doubt. It is very joyous that all of us are here in Turkey to celebrate the puja to Fatima.
As darkness owns the light, life begins a sparkling wave of light. We are one, and we have come to celebrate the journey to the light of freedom. We believe we are one.
Yet again, we are reminded of the whole point of meditation, of practicing Sahaja Yoga, which is actually to immerse ourselves in this ocean of love and to actually really experience it. And in this beautiful ocean, there are so many different elements reflecting the light of this spirit, all the different cultures that Shri Mataji so much enjoyed and encouraged and brought together in places like the World Centre. On that occasion, where this beautiful song was performed, we were in India, and it was a tribute to Shri Mataji paid in 2018, in which artists from all over the world came together to sing and to perform in a production that was organized or produced, if you like, by a theatre company that Shri Mataji herself inspired, called Theatre of Eternal Values. It's a very, very large family, and we are seeing some excerpts and highlights from it, and we will find out more about art and culture and Sahaja Yoga later on. But now we move to Africa, where Oliver Okrora will tell us a little bit about how Sahaja Yoga is spreading over there, far and wide across the continent.
Sahaja Yoga in Africa. My name is Oliver. I am from Ivory Coast, and I've been doing Sahaja Yoga since the year 2000. I was at university at that time when a friend invited me to take part to a self-realization session. Self-realization in Sahaja Yoga is just about feeling vibrations as good breeze, interpreting those vibrations and being able to use them for your own benefit or to help others. This is something really amazing. Shri Mataji visited the African continent, where she gave conference in Tunisia and Egypt, but she also visited Kenya and Ivory Coast. Sahaja Yoga is well established in Africa, where we cover more than 27 countries in all the 5 regions. You have South Africa, you have Cameroon, Gabon, Tanzania, Kenya, Morocco, Algeria, Sierra Leone, Togo, Mali, Burkina Faso, and of course, Ivory Coast. Someone who is a stressed person become relaxed. Someone who is a sad person become joyful. Someone who is arrogant become humble. An aggressive person become affable, and a lazy person become dynamic. And this inner transformation has a very good impact on the well-being of the person at the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual level. The first second you do the self-realization experience, you are under the attention, under the protection of the divine. The simplicity in the practice of Sahaja Yoga. It starts by a simple experience, self-realization experience, which takes less than 5 minutes to do. And after that, it's about meditation. Meditate at your own pace, anywhere and at any time. And it's free of charge from the bottom of our heart, we are very thankful to Her Holiness Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi for this inestimable gift to the humanity. And we'll be very happy to meet you in one of our sessions. If you wish to know more about Sahaja Yoga meditation, you are most welcome to visit our website, sahajayogameditation.online. We also offer a 10-week online course free of charge. Kindly visit letsmeditate.online to know and to register for the course. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. It was so joyful to watch that and so joy-giving. And that joy now spreads even further. We go over to South America, the continent, and Sahaja Yoga is really blossoming there. And we will talk now to Francisco and Eduardo, who will tell us about how Shri Mataji came to Colombia, Brazil, and other countries, and how things have developed over there.
We have had the honor to meet Shri Mataji in South America in '92 in one of her visits, spreading her love to all, as we can see at the images later in Colombia, Argentina, and Brazil. Here with us, the physicist Eduardo Marino, who can tell us about his experience accompanying Shri Mataji, and also as a scientist. Shri Mataji herself asks him to write a book about science and spirituality. Eduardo, I pass through to you.
Thank you, Francisco. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity. I was a seeker of truth since a young age, and I met Sahaja Yoga in 1993 while I was as a visiting professor in the United States. I met Shri Mataji next year in 1994, and then she appointed me as the leader of South America. Later on, also she appointed me as the leader of Brazil. I would like to start talking about the legacy of Shri Mataji, namely Sahaja Yoga. Sahaja Yoga is not a philosophy, is not a doctrine, is not a religion. Is not even a system or a method. Sahaja Yoga is a living process by which we are transformed and connected to our spirit. It's something that really works. It's not some mental issue. Sahaja Yoga is something, an important point of Sahaja Yoga is that Shri Mataji makes a point that it should be free. So we don't charge for any of our Sahaja Yoga teachings and programs. We all that dedicate to Sahaja Yoga, we have our professions. Sahaja Yoga is not a profession for us. We cannot pay the sun for it to give us the sunlight. We cannot pay the clouds for them to give us the rain. You cannot pay the earth for give us the food. So in the same way, we cannot pay for our self-realization. So Sahaja Yoga is a living ideal for us. So for that, we ask you to join us in this wonderful task of spreading Sahaja Yoga all over the world. Let me thought a little bit about science in Sahaja Yoga. Shri Mataji asked me to write a book on science and Sahaja Yoga. And I presented her a first version of the book, and she said, you must include 2 chapters on the relation between Sahaja Yoga and quantum physics. I must say that even though I was a professor of quantum physics for 20 years, and I was in Sahaja Yoga for at least 10, I had absolutely no idea of what to write. And then I had one of the most amazing experiences I had in my life. I sat down with white paper and pen, put my attention in the top of my head, and I experienced all the phrases coming as an unstopped flow. And I started to write and write and write, and I felt it was all coming from the top of my head. So I learned a lot in this writing of the book. And later on, when I presented the complete result to Shri Mataji, she put her hand on the book and said, whatever is there is the truth. So just to give you an idea of how science relates to spirituality, I will argue that science can bring you at one step from God, but the last step one has to make it oneself. It really science cannot really give the last step. So this is the issue related to what is called as the Big Bang. Modern science has discovered that about 12 billion years ago, the whole matter, energy, even time and space started to exist after a tremendous explosion, which is called the Big Bang. So if you ask an Orthodox scientist, what is there before the Big Bang? The answer will be, most probably, there's no meaning in the question that you are asking. But I say this is at least lack of curiosity. So if you insist in asking what was there before the Big Bang, using some very simple logic, we can arrive at some very deep conclusions. So since the time was created at this moment, this occasion of the Big Bang, it means that before it just didn't exist. Time didn't exist. So whatever existed before the Big Bang should be beyond time. That means eternal. So, in the same reasoning, if the space didn't exist before the Big Bang, whatever existed before it should be beyond space. This means formless. So you see that using this simple logic, we can arrive at some conclusions about the nature of God, if we may dare to say something about that. So this is just an example of how science can bring us close to God. So it has been a privilege to be a disciple of Shri Mataji. Meeting Shri Mataji was the end of my seek. So I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Shri Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all. Thank you, Shri Mataji.
Thank you so much for sharing the beauty of science with us. When it merges with the eternal and divine knowledge that we can actually tangibly experience for ourselves. And that is the key thing that differentiates Sahaja Yoga and Shri Mataji probably from so many spiritual predecessors, is that she activates the knowledge within us. This awakening allows us to connect with it all over the world, wherever we are, and we can experience it in the present moment. Thank you so much. And we go over now to Central Europe, actually Eastern and Western Europe, that Shri Mataji visited extensively during the 80s and the 90s, in particular after certain enormous historical events like the fall of the Berlin Wall. And we'll be finding out about that from Ruth and Maria Amelia.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Maria Amelia and I'm coming from Portugal and Switzerland. I first met Shri Mataji in beginning of '79, and when I was studying in UK. I got my realization in Cambridge, and a few days after I decided to go to London and meet her, because what I had felt was very, very strong. So I went to London, where she was holding programs, public programs, every Thursday evening at Caxton Hall. There I met her for the first time, and her message really appealed to me immediately for two main reasons. First of all, she was so accessible. We could go to her, talk to her, she would answer, she would interact with us with such simplicity. And the second thing was, I'm from a Catholic background, and I always felt it was too narrow. And here I found that she was speaking about the union of all the religions, the essence of all the religions. There I could find really, it was what I was looking for, universality. After finishing my studies in the UK in June '79, I went back home to Portugal. And later on, I was married to a Swiss national, which allowed me to go in Switzerland, live there, establish myself there. And together with a small group of Swiss, we were able to follow her for the first programs in many countries. For instance, the first in 1980, she came 2 times to Switzerland in April and September, October. And she went once to Portugal to attend a social function and then give public programs. As we could feel the benefits of her teachings and our inner transformation, we were inviting her to go to different countries and were accompanying her there. We are very privileged to do so, to attend the first programs in those countries, where she would deliver and spread her message. Sometimes she would also request us to go ahead and prepare these programs for her. This was my case, for instance, in Lisbon and Rio, where I went beforehand for a couple of months. Sometimes we would go single-handed, sometimes we would go in little groups, and we would do little programs, so when she would come, she would already have a few people who had realization and who would go on following her. We can say that in the 80s we had the spreading of Sahaja Yoga in Europe, mainly for the beginning, and we can call it as horizontal growth. Just to name a few, we had, for instance, in 1980, as I said, Switzerland and Portugal. Then in 81, it was the turn of Italy. 82, it was Austria, France, and Spain. 84, Belgium and Holland. 89, Colombia, Rio in Brazil, 92, again Brazil, Buenos Aires, and so on. This just to name a few, because I don't remember all of them. We can say that she traveled tirelessly from 1980 to 2010 to many, many countries in the world. As an example, for instance, just in Switzerland in 15 years, she went 18 times and she gave 42 public programs. So just imagine if we multiply that by 90 countries, how often she traveled. When she was arriving at these countries, she was very interested in what was going on. First, the history, the art, the culture, the handicrafts. For instance, once in Madrid, at the beginning, she would ask us to show her Goya's paintings. In Italy, she would go and visit the Sixtine Chapel, and then she explained it to us later on. She went also to Florence and visited the Uffizi Gallery to see the Italian masters. She would comment then the paintings and explain the subtle side and the spiritual dimension that these masters had given to their paintings. And I must say that it was quite an experience to be able to hear her teachings and comments in so many different aspects. For instance, in Portugal, my home country, she appreciated the handicrafts and embroideries, and she would buy lots of terracotta and tablecloths. Then she would distribute them and give as presents. Another aspect that was very important for her was children and to protect their growth and their innocence. Therefore, she created several schools, kindergartens and primary schools. And actually, the first primary school took place in Switzerland in 1988. And nowadays, I mean, Saja Yoga is being given in some schools where the teachers realize that the children have a much better attention and they stabilize and are better in class. They also did a couple of them in Switzerland. They went to some prisons and gave realizations to prisoners, and they felt their benefits in themselves. On a personal level, she would give us advice regarding our personal and professional lives. She would follow us attentively. She will give us all her maternal love and guidance. She would work personally on our subtle systems, show us how to keep our chakras and channels in balance, make us improving spiritually and going deeper inside. She taught us also detachment of material worldly matters, but at the same time living within the current economic systems and problems. For instance, in Brazil, she gave some economic advice to some ministers and gave the realization to the Senate president, which was really happening. And they heard her words very carefully. We can feel that the impact of her teachings in our personal and spiritual lives were everywhere, anywhere. To make it short and to end, I would just like to say that what she taught us mainly was to go beyond our small worldly limitations. Good afternoon, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Victor. Good afternoon. I met Shri Mataji in 1981 and got my realization just 4 months before. I worked as a diplomat and was posted in 8 countries. I am married and have 2 children. When I was seeking, I asked my friend coming from Nepal, how can you reconcile Oriental religions with Christianity? Because this was bothering me at the time. And he answered, the 4 bases of the pyramid are far apart, but the higher you go, the more its sides become closer, and at the end, there is only one. And I liked that, and he gave me realization. When I met Shri Mataji in Rome, she took me in her arms, and she said, my child, and that was it. Indeed, I discovered how she integrates universal teachings, wisdom and balance, how everything becomes one at the end, like the tip of the pyramid. In the 80s, she traveled all over the Western world, in Asia, And we followed her as much as we could. In the 90s, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, she toured each year Eastern Europe. Her teachings were valid for all seekers, and they evolved in parallel to our growth. We grew thanks to all situations she put us in. Public programs, traveling in any conditions, getting us to make friends with different cultures and conditionings, rubbing our egos against each other in all circumstances. She taught us balance in all, in our personalities as man and woman, equal but different in ways which should not disappear. She taught us to desire to grow to the place where there is only one country, the country of pure love, where there is no hatred, where we are all united, respectful, and feeling self-esteem, forgiving the others as well as ourselves, are at peace with ourselves, seeing only the qualities of the people, and pure joy surges. In fact, you may notice in all the photos you see this afternoon that her followers always smile, look peaceful, and enjoy. And it shows that what she gives to us is really in depth and is not superficiality. She taught us to extend our own limits, to go beyond what we feel possible, that by going higher, we acquire the capacity to witness, the capacity of detachment, like if we observe our Mother Earth from the moon. Growing personally, it becomes easier to grow collectively. Thus, a society can be transformed beyond nationalities, but it is a work never achieved, as we can see it daily, sadly. For so many things, her teachings were premonitory. In the 80s already, she warned us against abuse of plastics, the folly of materialism, leading dissolute lives, the attacks against innocence of children, the abuse of antibiotics, the overexposure of our skins in the sun, the overeating of red meat, the dangers of fanaticism and fundamentalism. She insisted on the respect and love for our Mother Earth and the environment. She constantly stressed the importance of family as the foundation stone of a healthy society, and for children to become solid and ethical personalities. And the list could go on, but always the balance, the respect, no extreme. Nearly every day, she spoke at public programs, in interviews, to doctors, asking us then also to organize such events ourselves without her presence. In Eastern Europe, she spoke in packed stadiums and huge halls. As such was the thirst to get out of a fixed and imposed way of thinking. She traveled constantly and none of us could follow her because after more than a few days, it was just not possible. She spoke to rich and poor, educated and uneducated, Christian, Buddhist, Muslims, Hindus, atheists, agnostics, to whoever was ready and keen to listen to her. In the 80s, she gave us a lot of personal attention, love, and also she was testing us as a guru does. She was training us to become trainers for others, train the trainers, acting as her instruments and as multipliers to contribute to the spreading of her teachings. She encouraged me to remain in diplomacy, and she followed closely my career, eagerly awaiting the moment I would become an ambassador. She would give us so much love and attention individually. We were basking in her love, but also her compassion and patience. My heart melts with gratitude, and all this is available through self-realization, even without her physical presence. Thank you.
It is so beautiful to stand in this incredibly ornate hall that Shri Mataji received hundreds of her followers here every time she returned from her journeys all over the world. And actually, after her spending many, many years traveling, she increasingly spent time here and received people from all over the world. And everybody came just to listen to her talks, to feel her love. And those talks have been preserved for all time, for everyone, and they're accessible to everybody. And the project manager, the manager and director of the NIPC is with us today, Alan Pereira from the UK, and he'll tell us more.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you. There's so many magic moments that were shared today. I'm so touched, and I hope I can get through my talk. It's very, very moving. My name is Alan. I'm a chartered accountant and a director of NIPC, which stands for Nirmala Intellectual Property Corporation. It is a not-for-profit entity, a charitable foundation created by Shri Mataji herself in 2005. It was a historical moment, and having been directly involved, it was an honor and a privilege. Our beloved mother, Shri Mataji, through her absolute generosity, had given her entire life teachings to the trusteeship of NIPC and for the benefit of the whole of humanity. Her profound teachings and talks in the form of audios, videos, and books were donated to NIPC with the purpose to preserve and perpetuate her works forever. It is hard to comprehend the enormity of what has been given to us and the world. Ever since the 1970s, her life and work have been electronically documented, recorded directly onto audio and video. Today, there are literally thousands of recordings of Shri Mataji's speeches and interviews. We all know in our hearts how incredible it is that a supreme being has been accurately portrayed and recorded in her lifetime. Generations to come and centuries from now, people will not only have accurate transcripts of her talk, but people will be able to hear the wisdom of her words, to understand the depth of her knowledge, to listen to the gentle melody of her voice, to see the movement of her being and the beauty and the splendor of her personality. It is a historic and monumental responsibility for NIPC to preserve these most sacred and holy knowledge and spread her message throughout the world. But with the advances in technology, it has been possible to digitize these recordings of her knowledge so that it is preserved in perpetuity. There is never a charge for this knowledge, and NIPC receives donations in order to function. Shri Mataji's public programs are freely available to all. We humbly express our deepest gratitude and sincere appreciation for the profound and extraordinary knowledge that Shri Mataji has given to humanity. Her teachings have brought comfort, healing, and wisdom to millions of people all over the world. Her insights and guidance have helped people find peace, purpose, and a deep understanding of the nature of truth and reality, especially in these troubled times. Her life's work has been a beacon of hope and inspiration for so many of us who are on our life journeys. Her tireless efforts to help us connect with our true selves and the divine have left an indelible mark on the spiritual landscape of humanity. She has shown us what it means to live a life in service of higher purpose. Her legacy will continue to inspire and guide us on our spiritual paths for generations to come. Shri Mataji, I offer you my heartfelt love, my sincere admiration and appreciation. We promise to share this great knowledge you have given us. The time has come for humanity to know the truth. The entire humanity can be transformed with your love and awakening. It is a dynamic force that can transform this world. Shri Mataji, please accept my heartfelt gratitude for everything you have done for me. You are truly a divine personality, and I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to visit your incredible life's work at first hand. I'm sorry, I just find this so moving talking about Shri Mataji. It just brings back so many of these private memories, and to relive these moments, my heart is just bursting at the moment. And I just have tears in my eyes. I'm sorry, it is very emotional. I was lucky enough to spend time at Shri Mataji. Those memories are precious. They are very special moments. I will deeply cherish them for the rest of my life. You have touched so many lives. You have touched so many hearts. You indeed are our beloved Guru, our gentle, compassionate mother that has given purpose to my life. Not only did you give meaning to my life, you in fact literally saved my life 21 years ago, which allows me to be able to be here today to speak about you. Thank you, Shri Mataji. Thank you, my beloved Guru. Thank you, my dear beloved mother. I owe you everything. I owe you my life. Thank you from the deepest part of my heart. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Shri Mataji. Jai Shri Mataji.
Thank you for putting into words what we all feel, and that sincerity, that longing for love, for fulfillment, for oneness is felt by all of us, and now hopefully we can all start to feel it tangibly within ourselves, within our body, in our hands. And I'd just like to take the opportunity that you can actually go onto the website shrimataji.org and find out where you can actually deepen this experience. And yes, this is all happening live stream right now. We're reaching the whole planet, in theory. But actually the whole planet, the populations of the world come here to Cabela, to the World Center. And I have with me a very, very dear friend, Giulio Cartocci, who was one of the first yogis to meet Shri Mataji in Italy, who will tell us more about how it grew in this country and became the World Center effectively.
Thank you, Victor. Good morning. I am Giulio Cartocci, a member of the Cabela World Foundation that carries the name of Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi. And I met Shri Mataji in 1981 when she came for the first time to Italy to bring her enlightened message of Sahaja Yoga and the possibility for humanity to receive the great experience of self-realization. And it is my great pleasure and honor to greet everyone from Cabela, Ligure, Italy, on this special day celebrating the centenary of Shri Mataji's birth. As I said, Shri Mataji came to Italy for the first time in 1981, and since then she continued to come to Italy every year. Then, in 1991, she chose Cabella Ligure as her permanent home in Europe, where she spent the last 30 years of her life, from 1991 to 2011. And while she was living here, she created the World Foundation and set up the headquarters of here in the ancient Palazzo Doria. The foundation is responsible for preserving, caring, and even expanding all the assets that she has left us in this marvelous valley. And not only she leave the foundation all her personal material possessions in this valley, but more importantly, she gave us a vision of a new, peaceful world where everyone can have the opportunity to perceive their spiritual essence, the integration of their self with the one, with the creative energy, with the all-pervading love. So here in the Val Barbera, where Cabella resides, the nature is still pure, and it expresses itself with great beauty in the mountains that surround us, in the lush valley, and the flowing rivers. And here we have facilities to host the seekers who comes from all over the world to enjoy the company of the seekers, and of the like-minded people who try this experience of union and integration. 5 or 6 main events are celebrated here every year, in which about 10,000 people attend. But there are many various other activities carried out throughout the year, including meetings to deepen meditation, wellness camp, art academy, summer camp for children, etc. Here we can see some of this moment, of this beautiful moment. But apart from the large international meetings, one of the main activities here is a unique boarding school with children aged 6 to 11, founded by and on the express wish of Shri Mataji herself. Shri Mataji has always paid great attention to the education of children, and in 2008, she met all the mayor of the valley to express a vision on the importance of education. And the authorities of the valley always have recognized the great personality of Shri Mataji. And in 2007, she was awarded honorary residence in Cabella. And over the years, more and more people from all over the world have decided to come and live permanently here in Cabella. And now there are a few hundreds of us. So we can say that there is an interesting social experiment taking place here with families who live in their own house, but carry out their own job, but sharing many moments together during the day. Even simple things like taking care of the children, or recreational activities, or organizing the meetings, and especially, of course, the collective meditation. So we can say that here we are truly living a new kind of experience of a peaceful, serene, and constructive, truly international social experiment. with the participant coming from all over the world. A participant that breaks all the artificial barrier and the border set up by man. And in this special historical moment, we feel that is very, very, very important. So this is the expression of a new world order that is being created without social, caste, or we can say religion divisions. So, as we said before, this is part of Shri Mataji's vision, and surely this experience is more easily livable in a place that is still simple and pure as Kabbalah is. It is therefore with great pleasure that we invite you all to come and visit us here in Kabbalah and discover for yourself the vision of Shri Mataji and of the World Foundation as for the whole of humanity. Thank you. And thank you, Shri Mataji.
Thank you very much, Duilio. Thank you so much for that beautiful, all-encompassing description of the activities of this wonderful place. In fact, the beauty is maintained here. It's the beauty for all to enjoy. In fact, Shri Mataji wished nothing for herself. She very graciously received our humble gifts to her because of the love with which they were offered. But in reality, the greatest gift we could offer her is to share self-realization and Sahaja Yoga with all of our fellow seekers throughout the world. And now we come to a particularly colorful part of the presentation. It's how, and actually the flowers here can attest to the beauty of variety when they come together, the fragrance they emit, and how they manifest the beauty of creation. Creation and creativity, which we have in the arts, in music, in theatre. And in fact, Shri Mataji, in this very room, inspired us to create a theatre company. She gave it a name, Theatre of Eternal Values. And theatre is an art form like a bouquet of flowers that unites all the arts to create a unified expression. And that's why it led also to the creation of an Academy of the Arts and also a festival, the Culture of the Spirit Festival. And I would like to invite now the present Artistic Director of Theatre of Eternal Values, the coordinator of the festival and the Academy, Monia Giovanangeli, to tell us more.
Welcome to everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Victor, and to share also my side of things, which are the artistic event, the culture event that we have in this beautiful World Center. As Victor said, this is the place where Shri Mataji inspired the foundation of Theatre of Eternal Values, a theatre world company, a theatre company that travels around the world, bringing the true spiritual values through theatre. And that's what art does. It's the manifestation. It's the manifestation of the spirit through the art form. And that's why we have a beautiful festival open to everyone that desires to come in this beautiful valley called the Festival of the Culture of the Spirit. And we would like to share some moments of it with you. Culture of the Spirit Festival in Kabbalah. Ecco, questo era il Culture of the Spirit Festival. This was the Culture the Spirit Festival, and it's a joy for us to be able to share with you all these beautiful moments that are connected with our inner spirit. It's a group of artists. They all meditate, they all practice Saja Yoga, and they all have the desire to manifest their spirit through the art form. But we also have another event that Duilio was talking about in this beautiful center, that is the Nirmala Arts Academy, and this is an occasion for all of us and all of you to share this moment together and to learn from these beautiful artists. So as you see, Shri Mataji left us a very rich legacy, and we are trying to express it and bring it forward in all the way possible, and arts is one of it. So we thank you very much, and I hope you can come and see us in this beautiful World Center. And Victor, thank you for inviting me here today.
Thank you, Monia. And it's so wonderful to conclude this beautiful journey in such a fragrant, colorful way. But now we will hear in a moment the voices of the children of the schools that Duilio mentioned here in Cabela. Before that, we would like to thank you all for having watched and joined us in this celebration of the 100th anniversary of the birth of Her Holiness Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi, our revered mother and guru, but really a mother of the world in a sense, who wanted to give this second birth or spiritual universal experience to everybody. And so we thank all of you. We hope you will go onto the website, the shrimataji.org website. We thank the technical team. We thank all those who contributed their experiences and to inform us and tell this story, in which we learned so much about something that Eduardo called a living process, an ongoing process. We hope that we will join together in this journey. We hope to welcome you here in Cabela, or when we also eventually travel. Thank you so much, everybody, and see you very, very soon.
Your beautiful vibrations, your divine eyes, your graceful smile, a bubbly love, a calming joy. Shri Mataji, you are my loving mother.
On the 21st of March, 1923, a baby girl was born in a Christian family. Her mother had spent a tiger in the wild, for she knew she was treasure.